everyone! Welcome back to the channel, where we explore the hidden messages behind our favorite 1980s cartoons. Here, we delve into how the past shapes our future by looking at the lessons hidden in pop culture, even in animated shows. From classic cartoons to modern debates, we connect the dots between then and now, showing how these stories still impact the world today. So, if you love nostalgia with a purpose, stick around, because history has a funny way of repeating itself. Who gets to be called a real American? It's a question that's been around for decades, and it's just as relevant today. From debates on immigration and DACA to the rise in hate crimes against different cultural communities, the struggle for acceptance continues. But this isn't a new story. Even back in the 1980s, shows like fatalbert tackled these tough conversations. In one powerful episode, a young girl was told she didn't belong, simply because of where she was born. Sound familiar? Let's break it down and see what this classic cartoon can teach us about today's fight for inclusion. Today, we're exploring how classic episodes of fatalbert and Scooby Doo tackled real-world issues that are still relevant today: xenophobia, corruption, and the fight for justice. Let's get into it. First up, let's talk about fatalbert and the Cosby Kids and its powerful episode, America's Queen. In this episode, Kuimura, a Japanese immigrant, is nominated for America's Queen, but not everyone is happy about it.
Now, before we begin our work today, we have something very important to do, and that is to nominate someone from our class to run for America's Queen.
Ms. Walker, I'd like to nominate Keiko Imura.
Me? America's Queen?
Will someone second that nomination?
I second it.
Me too!
That's a very good nomination, Albert. I think Keiko would make a wonderful America's Queen. Are there any other
Highlights the ugly truth about xenophobia. Ku is as American as anyone else, but because she's an immigrant, some students don't see her that way. Sound familiar?
We can't have somebody like Keiko for America's Queen. She's not even really American.
What are we gonna do?
Clear moment of exclusion based on nationality. Instead of questioning Kai's Americanness, the conversation should focus on her qualities, contributions, and character. Citizenship and heritage should not be barriers to inclusion.
Vote for me, a real American.
Hey, what do you mean a real American?
You know what I mean. She's a foreigner, someone who can hardly speak English, and we don't want somebody like that for America's Queen. Vote for me, Cindy Collins, a real American.
This moment perpetuates the harmful idea that linguistic differences or immigrant backgrounds make someone less American. Instead of alienating Kai, Cindy could have campaigned on her own merits rather than undermining someone else's identity.
I should not have run away yesterday.
We understand, don't we, fellas?
Don't worry about it, Keiko.
Do you still want to run for America's Queen?
There is saying in America, don't give up the ship. Well, I wish to keep sailing, yes?
You bet. Right.
Right, yeah, let's do it. Come on, let's go, man. Hey, here comes Keiko. You said it, man. Come on.
This moment highlights the emotional impact of exclusion. Support from peers plays a crucial role in combating discrimination. Teaching children to affirm their friends' identities helps build inclusive communities.
For this is American way. All people here have right to speak whatever they want, even if sometimes it is not so nice to hear. But I am American also, and in my heart I say only, thank you, America. Thank you for a chance to live in land where all are welcome, all are equal, and all are free. And that's what America means to me.
Silence marginalized voices is a common tactic in discrimination. Representation matters, and giving everyone a chance to share their story is essential to fostering unity.
What I said about Keiko, about her not being an American and all, well, I was wrong. I think maybe she's a better American than most of us, and she deserves your votes for America's Queen.
This realization is a positive development. The real lesson is that acceptance shouldn't require someone to prove themselves. Everyone deserves respect, regardless of their background. Today, the same conversation is happening across the country. With ongoing debates about immigration, DACA, and citizenship, many people are still questioning who belongs. Hate crimes against immigrants, especially Asian Americans, have surged in recent years. Just like in Fat Albert, the issue isn't about whether someone is a real American, it's about embracing diversity and inclusion. Fat Albert taught us that being American isn't about where you were born, but about the values you uphold. Now, let's switch gears and talk about corruption and power abuse, something that Scooby Doo tackled in The Mark of Scooby. In this episode, a town is being terrorized by a ghostly outlaw called the Black Rider. But as always, the gang digs deeper and uncovers the truth.
Like we're a traveling mariachi band, sir.
Oh, wait a minute. How come you're wearing a mask?
Mask? What mask?
It's so devilishly clever of me to keep this tax money for myself.
Classic corruption. Thornton used fear to manipulate people into leaving their homes so he could take their land for himself. Sound familiar? It should. Political corruption, gerrymandering, and corporate greed still shape our country today. Just like in Scooby Doo, fear is often used to manipulate the public, whether it's fear of crime, immigrants, or economic collapse. Politicians and corporations use these tactics to push their own agendas. But just like Scooby and the gang, we have to look past the fear and uncover the truth. Whether it's investigative journalism or community activism, fighting corruption starts with exposing it. At the end of the day, Fat Albert and Scooby Doo weren't just entertaining cartoons, they were teaching us important lessons. Xenophobia, corruption, and fear-mongering aren't just problems of the past, they're still happening today. But if these classic cartoons taught us anything, it's that we can stand up against injustice no matter how big or small. So, what do you think? Do these old-school episodes still hold up in today's world? Drop a comment below. Tell us, have you ever seen a cartoon tackle a real-world issue? How do you think media influences the way we see topics like immigration or corruption today? And if you grew up watching these shows, what lessons stuck with you? Let's keep the conversation going.